autopilot just powers the system, just so that we don't have warnings. If we don't have it on, we just have these warnings. So that just gets rid of the warning. Power to the system. Now we can put our headsets on. All right, can you hear me?
I can.
All right. And then you can adjust your volume on the control switch here. All right, so we're going to listen to weather.
Hazardous weather information for Northeast region available on highways or flight service frequencies. Advise on initial contact you have information Sierra. Portsmouth Tower information Sierra. 2156 Zulu observation. Wind 120 at 07. Visibility 10. Ceiling 3,900 broken. Temperature 04. Dew point -02. Altimeter 3011.
3011.
Pressure altitude -73.
That's adjusted with this.
Expect ILS approach runway 16.
You do that.
Departing runway 16.
This?
Yep.
Attention all aircraft. Hazardous weather information for Northeast region available on highways or flight service frequencies. Advise on initial contact you have information Sierra.
Alright, so the main information that we're getting out of that is what the wind is, what the current weather is, what the clouds are at, what the pressure is, which we put it in there, what runway's in use, and then any notes for the airport, which there weren't any, so you didn't hear anything. That pretty much covers all of it. And then Sierra is just like the code that we listen to it. So I'm going to go ahead and call them up now.
So when they said, I think she said winds 120 at 09er. Is
Yep.
that 120 degrees, 0 or 9 knots?
Yeah, 9 knots, yeah.
Got it, okay.
All right, I'm going to call them up. Portsmouth Ground RV266 Victor Alpha, November Hangars radio taxi with Sierra.
Number 266 Victor Alpha, Portsmouth taxi runway 16 via Alpha Bravo. Correction that, make it Charlie intersection.
I will take a 16 Alpha Charlie for 6 Victor Alpha.
All right, aircraft 1430 ground.
All right, so you're just going to release the brakes now and just give it a little bit of throttle, get it rolling. So when you're at low speeds, you primarily steer with your brakes. All right, so just add right brake. All right, put your hand on the throttle, give it a little bit of throttle just to keep it rolling. All right, now go left brake. All right, and now you can pull the throttle back. So it's like once it starts moving, you can pull the throttle back so it doesn't continue to accelerate. All right, and you're just going to pick up the yellow line here. The hardest thing is definitely taxiing the airplane to start, just because you're steering it primarily with brakes. So a lot of people struggle with it.
Okay.
Especially in any sort of wind, because the airplane essentially, it wants to weather vane, so it wants to go into the wind. So it's constantly trying to turn itself. So you're just going to go to the end right now. Right now we're on November. You can see the sign there. The black background means we're on it. The yellow background means we're going towards it.
Okay.
So Alpha is the next taxiway. You're going to make a right on Alpha. And just follow the yellow line to the right. So you can give it a little bit of right brake.
Okay. I'll get the sensitivity.
I mean, I have students that are like 10 hours into it and still struggle to taxi. So you're doing better so far. We haven't ended up near the grass.
Okay.
That's usually where we end up in the first couple minutes.
There's still time.
Yeah. Beginner's luck.
Is this a good taxi speed?
Yeah, so you can actually pull the throttle back now so that you don't continue to accelerate. I say about like above 15 knots, you don't need to use brakes anymore.
Okay.
So if you actually just do swings on the rudder itself without the use of brakes, it should correct. That's usually above 15 knots. And we're actually going to Charlie, so you're going to skip Bravo and go down to the next one.
Okay.
And then, as long as if you're going this fast, just make sure you don't jab the brake in one direction,
yeah,
and cause it to go sideways. You just pull the throttle all the way back to idle. Just kind of cruise down.
Portsmouth ground, November 423, Mike Golf.
November 423, Mike Golf, Portsmouth.
Portsmouth ground, 423, Mike Golf, requesting transition from plane sense ramp to GRE.
3 Mike Golf, proceed as requested.
423, Mike Golf, proceeding as requested, thank you.
Alright, so here's Charlie up here, so you can just give it a little bit of brake on both. So evenly brake it. And slow it down. You're making this left right here on Charlie. Just follow the yellow line. There you go. And just keep the throttle back at idle, so you don't need to accelerate around the turn, obviously. Alright. And then this first dash line right here, this is the hold short line for Alpha. So we can cross that, but we can't cross the one with the red blocks.
Okay.
Not until we're cleared. And then you can just come to a stop when you hit those dashes, at the beginning of the dashes.
These ones here?
Yep, in the center.
Okay.
Cross 181, taxi, just give way to that aircraft to go into the GRE, give way to them, then taxi Alpha Mike.
Alright, so now we're doing run up. Alright, so brake set, so it just means you're holding the brakes. Flight controls, so you just do the box. So you just want to make sure that it moves smoothly in all directions. That, you know, if you go to the right one goes up. If you go to the left one goes up. And then the stabilator moves up and down in the back. And then also kick the rudder back and forth to make sure the rudder swings left and right. Okay. And flight instruments, so the flight instruments really all you have to set would be like, if you're going like on a GPS route or something, which we're not doing that so you don't have to worry about it, then the only other thing would be that 3011. So that, and that changes all the time, so you just have to listen to it and figure out which one is put on there. Alright, so fuel valve, so we check that on, so that's pushed on. Fuel quantity, we got 15 gallons or more. Canopy's closed and latch, we'll close that already. Elevator stick back, so you hold the stick in the back position. And oil temp above 122, we're at 151. And then throttle up to 4,000. All right, you want to make sure that it runs smooth, it feels smooth, there's no crazy indications or anything. And then what you're going to do is you're going to turn off the ignitions one at a time. So you never want both to be off at the same time. You always want just one off at one time.
Okay.
All right, so turn ignition A off. And you're looking for the RPM drop. So it's only about like 40. All right, now turn A back on. You want it to come back up, and then A, and then B off. All right, same deal. Now back on. So that was like a 70 dropper. So, all right. So it says on there what your limits are. So 300 maximum, 120 between the two.
Okay.
All right. Then you're just making sure that there's, again, no crazy indications. Oil pressure's good, fuel pressure's good, and the amps are charging. All right. Now bring it back to full idle. And you want to make sure that it runs at full idle and it doesn't go into the red. Okay. And what are we at? Friction lock again. Fuses. So a bunch of these fuses actually light up when they blow. So,
okay.
So it'd be a red light.
Make sure they're off. Okay.
Yep.
Which was friction lock? Did we do that already?
Yeah, that's this.
Oh, that was that.
Yep.
Got it. Fuses. Okay. Fuel pressure.
Fuel pressure 2.2 minimum. We're at 5.7, so we got more than enough fuel pressure.
Low ground,
seatbelts and harnesses. Tight. Now flip it over. So we got strobe and landing lights, so you can turn the landing light on.
You are cleared to Bedford.
Yeah, you can do pulse.
VP 3 departure, then is filed.
Alright, and then we got transponder, alt squawk. So whenever we stay locally, it'll always be 1200. Alright, when we take off, that'll automatically go to ALT.
Okay.
So it says to change it to ALT, but it actually does it automatically.
Okay.
Trim set for takeoff, so you want the arrows on the green line, so it's just slightly down there. And flaps, first detent, but we actually, since we have so much runway, we don't need to do that. But for that, you just press the button in, pull it up, and there's 2 notches.
Oh, you can actually feel the detents, okay.
Yeah. Alright, and then canopy's closed, brakes, we can release them, and then take off abort plan. If anything goes wrong, I'll take control of the airplane, we'll land on the remaining runway since we have so much of it.
Okay.
Alright. Now line up. You just roll up to the line, and just don't cross the red blocks. And so the trick with takeoff, you want to try and get the throttle in as quickly as possible. So again, stop here. And so I'll show you real quick. So when you're throwing in the throttle in, a lot of people like to do it real slow. All right. So when you're doing it, it's just like 3 seconds. 1, 2, 3. Just goes right in there. All right. And that way, the quicker you get your power in, the quicker you get your rudder control.
Okay.
All right?
Yeah.
And because you don't want to be using brakes going down the runway. You just want to be able to just do big swings with your feet, and you need, you'll go big swings. You'll go full deflection. So basically, once the airplane is sort of rolling forward, you can slide your feet down so your toes are on the bottom of the pedals. That way you can get full work.
Okay.
And then you're going to hold the stick neutral, so it's going to be right about there. You're going to be watching your airspeed. When the airspeed hits 55 to 60, just slowly ease it back. Just real easy. Once the nose comes up, you can slowly drop it down very little, not to the point where the airplane's going to go back on the ground, but so that you just kind of line the nose up with the horizon.
Okay.
All right? And then you just climb out with the horizon about going through the top of the screen here.
Okay.
All right? Try and do it as visually as possible.
Okay.
All right, I'll call him up. Portsmouth Tower, V266 Victor Alpha, hold short 16 at Charlie. We're going to make a right turn out to the south.
Sorry, calling ground, who was that?
That was RV266 Victor Alpha, hold short 16 at Charlie for a right turn out to the south.
Sorry, RV266 Victor Alpha, runway 16 Charlie, 1140 at 6, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, runway 16 Charlie, 6 Victor Alpha. All right, so you're just going to give a little bit of throttle just to get it rolling. As soon as you put it in, pull it back out. Since you're just going right into a turn, you don't need to be going too fast. And because the wind is slightly left of the runway, you might feel the nose wanting to swing left. The nose will want to go left anyways because of the turning tendencies of the engine. So give it a little bit of throttle, keep rolling out.
One taxi, runway 16 Alpha Bravo.
And get over on the line here. And so you'll find yourself feeding in right rudder as your airplane is, the engine is increasing in RPM. All right. So now just start feeding in right rudder now, and now just start throwing the throttle in, and just keep putting your foot down to the ground. There you go. And then once it starts going straight, you can start taking that right rudder out. There you go. Get that throttle all the way in there. A little bit more right rudder. Throttle all the way in. There you go. Airspeed's alive. Now just start easing it up. There you go. And now just pitch it for the horizon. Happens quick.
Yeah, it does.
All right, and when you put the horizon right on the screen here, that puts you at about 75. All right, and 75 is our VY, so you can actually lower it a little bit. Yeah, right about there. VY is just like the best rate of climb.
Taxi, runway 16 Alpha.
Oh, I see. It's right even there, too. It tells you.
Yep.
Got it.
Tower Kronos 1 rolling up on 16 at Bravo, ready to go.
Kronos 1 runway 16 at Bravo. Wind 140 at 6 Cliff, takeoff on departure, fly runway heading.
Cliff, takeoff runway 16 at Bravo, runway heading, Kronos 794. Correction, Kronos 1.
Kronos 1, traffic about half mile off departure, and the RV will be in a southeasterly turn.
Okay, we're looking Kronos 1.
RV 6 Victor Alpha, you're going to turn to the southeast, you said?
Oh, we're just going to be making a right turn to the south.
Roger.
All right, so right now this is considered a constant airspeed climb. So you're holding 75, that's your airspeed. You're just climbing right up. When you hit 2,000 feet, that's when you're going to start leveling off. You can take that all out if you want.
Okay.
I know it gets warm over there. And so the rule of thumb with leveling off is do it at 10% of your climb rate. So you're climbing at 800 roughly, so start leveling off at 80 feet beforehand. So start leveling off now. Just a nice easy lowering of the nose. And that'll put you at about your altitude when you get the nose all the way down. So keep dropping the nose more. There you go, keep going, right about there. Now start easing the throttle back for 4,500 RPM. As the airplane accelerates, it's gonna want to climb, so you're gonna have to keep pushing forward, because see how it's climbing up now?
Kronos 1, that RV is about you, 11 o'clock and 1 mile, 2,000 feet.
44.
Okay, we're still looking,
Yep.
we got him on TCAS for Kronos 1.
Roger.
And then you can use your trim to adjust
Kronos 1,
whether it wants to go up or down.
Red fire to Kronos 1.
6 Victor Alpha, flight us at 6 o'clock, as in sight, climbing out of 1600.
Copy that, we got them on the screen, we're leveling off here at 2,000. We're just going to go straight up to the coast and then make a right turn.
Wow, so that's funny. Twice now, the towers talk to you, and I didn't even hear them.
And he's making his right turn away from us now.
Did he just take off?
Yeah, he's right behind us.
Wow, the air is so much smoother today than it was on Friday.
Yeah, it's a nice day now. That's why I wanted to come out a little earlier, and I went flying with Ryan, just because I knew it was a nice day. Whenever it's like cloudy like this, it's usually pretty smooth. There, you can go ahead and make a right turn and follow the coastline. And drop the nose down just a little bit.
Portsmouth Tower, Pack 2 on Heavy is ready for departure, 16.
Pack 2 on Heavy Tower, runway 16, line up and wait.
Runway 16, line up and wait for Pack 2 on Heavy.
Yeah, this whole area where it looks like the clouds are just going straight down to the ground. There's no horizon. That's all snow.
No kidding.
Yeah, so that's what we're trying to avoid and make sure we get back to the airport before it reaches
140 at 7 Cliff, takeoff.
16, cleared takeoff, Pack 2 on Heavy.
So how do you judge that distance? Is that here?
Yeah. So it's actually probably the yellow.
Okay.
Usually the green stuff is just like really light stuff that you probably won't even see. But that's probably the yellow stuff. So depending on what direction it's moving, it's just kind of that one blob. But it's probably moving in this direction. So I figured if we were out in this direction, we would see it coming towards us, and then we could just go back up the coast and get away from it.
Got it.
And usually like a thunderstorm looks very similar to that, because it's just like a wall of rain, so it just looks like a cloud going all the way down to the ground. With like light to moderate precipitation, usually you can see through it a little bit. Alright, once we clear this cloud right here, we're going to make a right turn.
Tag 2 Heavy, contact departure.
Tag 2 Heavy, good to see you.
Alright, you can go ahead and make a right turn. Just kind of heads out, like right into the sun.
Tag 2 ground. Tag 2 Heavy on request. Tag 2 Heavy, advisory to copy. Tag 2 Heavy, clear departure to the airport via radar vectors on departure, fly runway heading. Climb and maintain 3000. Departure frequency will be 125.05. Squawk 0.
Alright, now we want you to just make like a left 90-degree turn. So just kind of shoot back towards the beach. The whole idea here is just to do nice level turns without gaining or losing much altitude. And just trying to keep your eyes outside using a reference on the horizon, the little horizon that we have, to try and make your turns.
Taylor 145 Charlie Mike, Portsmouth. You're cleared to Savannah Airport via T3, correction, let me make that the Tanker 2 departure.
Alright, now I want you to make a right 360.
Expect flight level 400.
Just all the way around to the right.
Departure. Squawk 1345. Charlie Mike, read that correct.
That's Hampton Airfield right there.
Oh, okay, yeah.
Good. So you only gained like 50 feet right at the end there.
How's the angle? Is that the right?
Yeah.
The right
so
30 degrees.
Yeah. So if you look on here, so your yellow arrow there, triangle, is what you're currently turning at. So the big white one is 0. Each one is 10 after that. So it's 10, 20. That first big one is 30. 30 is like a standard rate turn for VFR.
Got it.
All right. Then the white triangles here, that's 45. Then the last tick marks are 60. All right. So like a normal turn VFR is 30 degrees. A steep turn is 45. So steep turns is like a whole separate maneuver, which we'll probably end up doing today. And that's you'll be doing turns at those white triangles there.
Okay.
So yeah, what you were doing was just about 30 degrees, and that's normal.
Okay. And what is this black diamond?
That's traffic that's in front of us.
Other aircraft? Okay.
Yeah. So they're 5,000 feet ahead of us, or 5,000 feet above us, probably about 5 miles ahead. And they just got high enough where they're not even going to show up on the screen anymore. No longer a threat.
So when we're in the turns,
Yep.
If I'm seeing that we're climbing or falling.
Yep.
Should I be adjusting the throttle to compensate for the lift?
Nope. So you just adjust it with the stick. Just with the stick. Yep. So if you find yourself climbing, then just reduce the back pressure a little bit, just so that the nose falls down just slightly.
Yep.
It's all just that's the sort of stuff that takes a while to get a hang of, just because it's first you have to notice it, then you have to register it, and then you have to do the input, and that that'll take like a couple seconds at first to go through that process. Let's go with 300 heading. So I'm going to go ahead and bug it. So 300. So that blue bug. All right, now what I want you to do is I want you to hold this heading, and I want you to descend down to 1500. All right, so first you're going to reduce the throttle. And you can bring it back to like 3500, 3000. And then the nose will naturally want to drop. So add a little bit of back pressure, just so that the nose can't fall so much. And then hold, bring it up a little bit more than that. Yeah, right about there. That'll be good. That's about a 500 foot per minute descent. Is that angle right there? And that's like a standard descent, 500 feet a minute. All right, and then the same rule of thumb applies when 10% from your level off altitude. So go ahead and start leveling off now. As you're lifting the nose up, you're putting the throttle back in. Usually our cruise RPM will be between 4,000 and 5,000.
Okay.
So on some days, it might be 4,200, 4,300. Today we're doing 4,500. Usually the slower you go, like if it's turbulent out, you kind of want to get closer to your VA, which is your maneuvering speed. It's dependent on weight, but it's usually around 80 to 90 knots.
Okay.
That's kind of like the optimal speed to be when you're when there's a load being put on the airplane, which includes turbulence. All right, let's make a right turn to the north. And every time you make a turn, you always want to look in the direction that you're going, and you want to make sure, for one, there's no traffic in the area, there's no obstacles maybe on the ground that are coming up. We're at a pretty good altitude, but some days we might be flying around the mountains, and there might be a tower on top of the mountain. You just want to make sure you're always clear of that. And then you can always pick a point out in that direction that you're bringing the nose to. That way you don't have to stare at that. You can try and do it visually.
Okay.
Hold short 16, ready for departure.
Pack 22 Heavy Tower, runway 16, line up and wait.
Pack 22, line up and wait, 16.
Pack 22 Heavy, runway 16, wind 160 at 5, clear for takeoff.
Pack 22, clear for takeoff, 16, pack 22.
let's go left to 300. And all while you're cruising around, you're always looking outside, you're looking for traffic. Not all the traffic's going to show up on the screen, especially like during the summer when people have their like antique vintage aircraft out and stuff. They don't have transponders, so so you got to keep your eyes outside. And you know, every once in a while you're looking at your engine instruments, making sure everything's still in the green. It'll come up flashing yellow if something goes outside of the green, and then you'll actually get an audible warning as well if it goes into the red. So you can see this is all low visibility snow right here. So we're going to kind of loop back around to the left in a second.
Oh yeah, you can see the rain and the
Yep.
snow.
Alright, can go ahead and make a left 180 now. Yeah, so since we're at freezing right now, this is snow. Anything probably below what we're at right now is probably rain, light rain. And snow isn't really too hazardous to fly through because it's mostly dry, so it just kind of blows over the airplane. But if the conditions are right and you're flying through rain, it can stick to the wing, and that's bad. This is all snow. You can see the flakes coming, so
yeah,
that's just going to blow right over the airplane. Alright, now we want, go ahead. Oh, traffic?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's one of the tankers just departed from Portsmouth. You can go ahead and climb up to 2,000. So you're going to put the throttle in, and you can put it in all the way. Yeah. And that'll just mean you'll climb quicker. And then you just pitch for that 75. So start dropping the nose down. There you go, because otherwise you're just going to get below it. So again, if you bring the nose about to the horizon again, that'll keep you right around 75. Now you can start leveling off, reducing the throttle as you nose it over. There you go. And as it accelerates, it'll probably get you that last 20 feet. Alright, and now I want you to you're going to make a left turn to 030, and you're going to climb up to 2,500 feet. You're going to do both at the same time.
Okay.
So you're going to first establish your climb, so go ahead and put throttle full. Just get the nose up, then just start doing a nice gentle bank.
What's our altitude you're looking for?
2,500. A little bit more right rudder. Keep that ball centered up. Go. A little bit more in the bank. Not quite there yet.
Oh yeah, okay.
So now you can start leveling off. And reducing the throttle. now let's make a right descending turn back down to 2,000 feet. So over to 150, so you're going to first reduce your throttle. Back down to like 3,000 or so, and then just start a nice easy right turn. The nose will naturally want to fall because you reduce the throttle plus you're going into a turn. There you go, now you can go wings level, keep the nose down though since we still got 200 feet to go. Go, and then slowly start lifting the nose up. And power back in for cruise.
Wow, it's impressive how much stuff you have to pay attention to do that all at once. It doesn't seem like it would be a lot.
Right.
Because ideally, you probably want to come out of that turn and hit altitude at the same time. Right.
Yeah. All right, let's do a climbing right turn this time. So let's climb back up to 2,500 and go to a west heading. And you'll need a good amount of right rudder for this turn. So see how that ball is so far off? You're looking here.
Yeah.
Start pulling back your throttle, dropping the nose down. Alright, we're going to go left again, descending, left turn to 120.
You want 2,000 feet?
Yeah, back down to 2. Alright, can make a left turn to 030, just kind of go up the coast. right, and then before we ever do any maneuvers, we always do what's called clearing turns, and that's just two 90-degree turns, so we're on like a 030 heading right now. You're going to make a left turn to 300, and then a right turn back to 030.
Okay.
You're just kind of, clearing a 90-degree area. So go ahead and make a left turn to 300. And all you're doing is just you're looking for traffic. You're making yourself visible. You're looking down at the ground for a place to land in case we were to have an emergency. That sort of stuff. All right, now back to the right to 030. Okay.
Back to 258 miles out on the ILS 16.
All right, and now we're going to go into slow flight. So you're going to reduce the throttle to 3,000. As you pull the throttle back, you're going to lift the nose up so that it can't descend, because it naturally wants to go down.
Yep.
So you're just going to kind of hold the nose in a somewhat nose-up attitude just so that it doesn't descend. Now go ahead and put your flaps in. So do one at a time. So you press the button in first, then pull it up. There you go. Now do the other one. There you go. All right. So now we're flying at 55. So I want you to hold about 50, 55 on the speed. You're going to hold speed by using pitch. All right. So you're going to change your speed using the stick.
Okay.
All right. So right now you're getting slow, so drop the nose down a little bit. All right. You're going to be holding altitude using your throttle.
Okay.
All right. So let it get down to 2,000 feet. Once you get back down to 2,000 feet, go ahead and bring the throttle up to about 3,500. And all while holding your airspeed as well, or your heading. Let's hold a 030 heading. This is where you start really having to start look around a little bit to see, make sure your altitude's good, your airspeed's good, your heading's good. All right, so you're at 2,000, so just shoot the throttle up to about 35. All right, 35 is usually where I start, and then you'll probably only go up from there. So if it's still descending, then go up to 37. If it's still going down, go up to 39.
Okay.
And it's going to be small. It's going to be big movements, but very quick. You're just trying to react to what the airplane's doing. All right. And then once you have everything sort of stable, you can figure out what the relationship is with the nose and the horizon. You can hold that, and that'll keep pretty much everything stable as long as your RPM doesn't change and you don't change direction with the wind. As the wind does influence how much power you need to maintain altitude. All right, make a left turn to 300. All right, and as you're going into the turn, give it some more throttle, because you're already about 60 feet low. So it won't hurt to give a little bit of throttle just to make sure you don't lose more through your turn. There you go, roll out. Use a little bit more right rudder. So you're trying to keep that ball centered. You always step on the ball. All right, we're right over top of Hampton again. Right down there. Did you notice we did a full circle?
Yeah.
Yeah?
Yeah. I did.
Usually most people are paying too much attention at the screen to know what's actually where we are outside.
Yeah, during the slow flight here, I've definitely been looking at the screen more than I have.
Yeah. That's normal. So what's going to happen is you're going to pitch up to bring your speed down, but that's going to cause you to gain a little altitude, so reduce the throttle. Basically, anytime that you change your pitch to account for speed, you're going to have to change your throttle at the same time.
Okay.
Back to 2 contact departure.
You're just trying to figure out sort of what the balance is.
I'm maintaining altitude better at slow flight than I was in normal flight.
Well, everything changes at a much slower pace, so it's easier to keep up with. But it's usually more work to do it in slow flight than it is regular.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's easier to notice the downward trend if it starts going that way.
So is the stick at all controlled hydraulically or no?
No, it's all cables.
I'm feeling more resistance, right? So.
Yeah. So that's mostly. I mean, you can trim it more, but it's really the flaps.
Yeah.
That you're feeling that resistance. All right, gotta make a right turn to zeros. Let's go 090. We'll get out of this stuff. Back in the snow. So keep the nose up so that you don't gain speed and lose altitude. And I know it's hard because we just lost our horizon, which is why I'm turning you around.
Ports altimeter 3012.
3012.
At Fort Smith Tower, Lear 145 Charlie Mike is with you, holding short of 16 at Charlie, ready.
145 Charlie Mike, Ports Tower, runway 16 at Charlie, wind 170 at 5, clear for takeoff.
Clear for takeoff, runway 16, Lear 5 Charlie Mike.
Alright, let's go right to 150.
5 Charlie Mike, have a great flight, contact departure.
5 Charlie Mike, over to departure, have a good evening.
One of the things in the books it said that made complete sense is that if you don't chase your instruments, it's much easier to keep altitude, stay level.
Yep. Yeah, that's why I try to, I say to keep your eyes outside, because if you're chasing numbers around, it really does make it difficult. And so, I mean, if I notice a student doing that, I can actually turn that screen off.
Oh yeah.
So just won't have anything to use.
Yep.
I'll just make it only display engine instruments. So that's your stall warning horn. It'll come off here in a sec.
So what caused that to trigger? Because I was only at 47 knots, and I was below that earlier too.
Right. So it completely depends on where the airflow is breaking up over the wing.
Okay.
So as you increase the angle of attack, the break of the airflow moves forward up the wing. And so that little tab that's right on the front of the wing there, when the airflow is breaking at the front of the wing, it's pushing that tab up. And so that's what triggers the stall warning. And once that airflow is breaking at the complete length of the wing, that's when the wing stalls. Airplanes are generally designed to stall at the wing root and then the wing tip. So it stalls going outward. So that's why usually you find the stall warning horn a little more than, a little less than halfway down the wing. And usually closer to the wing root. And that also allows you to have, in a conventional airplane that doesn't have flaperons, like we have flaperons, so you don't really notice as much. But on an airplane that has ailerons, which are only at the wing tip, you want to have control up until stall, and so the last part of the wing to stall is the part of the wing that has the aileron on it. So it's that last 1.5 feet or so.
Got it. That makes sense.
And so you'll see on some airplanes that the wing is actually slightly twisted, so that it has a higher angle of attack at the root than it does down at the wing tip. All right, let's go left turn. Make a left descending turn to 030. And so you're actually going to keep the nose fairly up. You're just going to reduce some throttle. You can just pull it all the way out. And then adjust your pitch to still maintain 50. And that'll cause you to start coming down.
And then what altitude are you looking for?
We'll go down to 1800, just a couple hundred feet.
Okay.
Alright, so now you're going to have to bring your throttle back in. So at least 3,500 RPM will give you to hold altitude. It'll probably be even more than that. It's always usually a minimum of 3,500 for it to even consider leveling off. So you still got to give it more.
Oh, I see, yeah. Yep.
Alright, make a left turn to the west. And when you go into a turn, your stall speed increases. So we would normally stall at like 42, going straight and level, but if we go into like a 30-degree bank, it could be like 44 or 45. And that's because when you go into a turn, whichever wing is high has a higher angle of attack. And the wing stalls when it reaches its critical angle of attack, which is dependent on airspeed and load. So when you go into a turn, the wing that is higher has a higher angle of attack than the wing that is lower. So if you go into a left turn, the left wing would stall first if you were approaching a stall. Which we'll get into all that when we get into stalls. I'll show you turning stalls so that you'll see that we'll be in a climbing right turn, and when we stall, we'll snap to the left because that wing will be the one to stall.
Got it.
now make let's do a right climbing turn back up to 2,000 feet to a north heading. All right, so just give it full throttle, adjust your pitch to hold 50. And so it'll probably be a gradual increase of pitch so that it doesn't gain speed. So see how quick it shoots up? So just start pulling it up. There you go. And then start dropping it down now. Nope, keep the throttle in. Oh yeah, you can pull the throttle back. It goes up a lot quicker than it goes down.
Yeah, I guess it does.
There you go. Now bring your throttle back a little bit more.
Departing runway 16. Attention all aircraft. Hazardous weather information for Northeast region available on highways or flight service frequencies. Advise on initial contact you have information Tango. Portsmouth Tower information Tango. 2256 Zulu observation. Wind 170 at 06. Visibility 10. Light rain. Ceiling 3,500 broken. 7,000 broken. Temperature 03. Dew point -02. Altimeter 3012.
All right, left turn to the west.
Pressure altitude -82. Expect ILS of...
There you go. So since you're getting a little slow, go ahead and increase throttle and lower the nose. So if you were just to lower the nose to get speed, you would end up losing altitude because that energy has to come from somewhere. So it's gonna come from descending. So in that case, just give it some throttle and lower the nose. That way you don't lose the altitude. All right, now make a left turn to the south. Good. Now you got an extra 5 knots, so you can just transfer that into a little bit of a climb. All right, so what I'll do next is I'm going to show you the 2 different types of stalls that we do.
Okay.
So we do power off stalls and power on stalls. Let's go ahead and lower the nose a little bit so that tone goes away. All right, so power off stall is just what it sounds like. The engine is at idle power. It's a stall, a simulated stall on landing. So we're in landing configuration with our flaps in the down position. So we have, the flaps themselves are extended. And we come in at about an approach speed, then we cut the power to idle and pitch the nose up. And then at some point, it's going to hit its critical angle of attack, and the airplane will stall. And it's not very exciting. It's not really, you know, much to be worried about, unless if you're at a low altitude, then it is, because you will see that we will be losing altitude pretty quickly. But you can actually still control the airplane pretty well in a stall.
Okay.
Especially these airplanes. Then a power on stall is a stall on takeoff, and that's with the flaps in the up position, full power or close to it, and it's a very nose high attitude, because as you saw when we were climbing out, it was pretty nose high anyways, and you know, to get it to stall at nearly full power, it's like 35 degrees nose up. So that is a much more dramatic drop, just because the nose has to reach the horizon in order for it to come out of the stall.
Okay.
And when we go into the stall and the power off, we're only a couple degrees above the horizon, so that's why it's not very exciting, because it just kind of drops a couple degrees and that's it. So I'll go ahead and take it. So it's my controls. I'll take it now. So I'm just going to set it up as if I'm coming into land. So I got full flaps. I'm going to pitch for about 60 at about 3,000 RPM. And so I'm just simulating and coming into land. Once I lose a little bit of altitude, throttle to idle, nose up to the horizon. And the most important thing is just to look outside. Just pick a point straight ahead, keep the nose going towards it, trying to keep the airplane coordinated. If you're uncoordinated going into a stall, that's where you could have like a significant wing drop. So you'll feel the buffet, which is a vibration right there, and then here comes a stall. So that's it right there. All right? So it's not very exciting. Now all you gotta do is just go full throttle and just nose on the horizon to build up the speed. All right, kind of bring it back up. Okay, I'll do it again. So 3,000, pitch for 60. Holding about right there. Just losing some altitude. So it goes in stages. First you're going to hear the tone, then you're going to hear the buffet, which is the vibration, and then it'll just kind of start dropping down. So I'm just easing it back. I'm just looking straight ahead, just bringing the nose just slightly above the horizon. There's the tone. There's the buffet. Here comes the stall, right there. That's it. And all I got to do is just let the nose go down to where it is, and we're out of the stall. And then to recover from the descent, you just put the throttle back in. So it's really pretty easy.
Okay.
And then so let's say I go right back into another one. If I don't do anything and I just hold it, it'll just kind of float down, vibrating. All right. So there it is. So we're stalled now. So I'm just holding it. I'm not even doing anything. All I have to do is release the back pressure, and it's out of the stall. All right. So it's pretty easy.
So when you weren't doing anything, I was watching outside. But if I watch this, we're just dropping. This is just dropping altitude.
Yeah, dropping altitude.
Yep.
All right, so now we'll do the power on stall. So I'm going to take our flaps out. And so we initiate this at 55. All right, so when we hit 55, we go full power. There's 55, so we go full power and pitch up. And it takes a lot of right rudder. And it happens very quick. So there's the buffet. Here comes the stall, right there. All I gotta do is lower the nose of the horizon. All right, very easy. I'll bring it back again, get it to 55. Full throttle, feed in the right rudder, pitch it up. Just keeping everything balanced, keep everything level. Feeding in the right rudder as it slows down. I'm just looking straight ahead. I can feel it coming. There's the buffet, there's the drop. That's it, I don't even have to do anything. It's doing it all by itself. All right, you just got to make sure you don't hold it back, and it'll automatically recover itself for the most part. Just gonna go ahead and spin us around this way. Alright, so I want you to try one of those, one each, and then we're going to shoot our way back in. Just because it looks like it's starting to get sucked in over there.
Okay.
Alright, so your controls, again, let's start with the power on. Alright, so bring the power back to idle. And all you're doing is you're just maintaining altitude. All right, so as the airplane slows down, you're just gradually pulling back so that you don't lose altitude. Once it hits 55, go full throttle. There you go, full throttle, feet in right rudder. All right, drop the nose down a little bit. Hold it right about there. There's a vibration. So as it slows down, the nose wants to drop, so you're holding it back.
Okay.
All right, but once it stalls, you release it. All right, keep pulling back. There it is. So there's the stall, so push it forward, wings level. Right back to the horizon. All right, so that's it. So now bring it back to idle again. We'll do the power off. All right, throw your flaps in. Just go right to full.
All the way?
Yep. There you go. Now you're pitching for 60, so just lower the nose for 60. And power to idle now. And now you just bring the nose slightly above the horizon. There's really not much of a horizon in this direction, but right about there. All right, again, as it slows down, the nose wants to drop. So you're just adding back pressure so the nose can't drop.
Okay.
There you go. And just keep pulling it back, easing it back, and you'll feel it stall. A little bit more back. That's still buff it. There you go, there's the stall. All right, so just level the wings, full throttle, back into a climb. All right, now slowly take your flaps out, do one notch at a time. There you go. Cool, all right, you can bring the throttle back, go back to level, cruise, and you can descend down to 1,500. And go like a 120 heading.
Attention all aircraft. Hazardous weather information for Northeast region available on highways or flight service frequencies. Advise on initial contact you have information Tango. Portsmouth Tower information Tango. 2256 Zulu observation. Wind 170 at 06. Visibility 10. Light rain. Ceiling 3,500 broken.
Yeah, same as what we listened to. Portsmouth Tower RV266 Victor Alpha is over top Hampton. We're inbound with Tango, full stop.
RV266 Victor Alpha, Portsmouth. Report setting right base for 16.
Right base for 16, RV6 Victor Alpha. All right, you can just kind of shoot right for Portsmouth Airport. A little bit more to the right. Kind of hard to make out, but it's over there.
Oh yeah, I see. That was pretty cool. So you said for landing, it's basically you're putting yourself into a stall.
Yeah, you're pretty much doing a power off stall. So, but you're doing it only,
Very last.
Yeah, only a couple feet above the runway at most.
Right.
And it never gets to the point where like you can feel that break where it just gives out. It just kind of sinks onto the runway.
Yeah, I don't remember feeling the buffeting before.
No. And when you're in ground effect, did you read on ground effect at all?
No.
So ground effect is it's sort of like a mystery almost, but it's usually like half of the wingspan of the aircraft. It's like a cushion of air, and you can actually fly slower in ground effect than you can in normal air. So where we would normally stall at like 42, we can get closer to like 35 in ground effect. So usually you don't feel the buffet because you're on the ground by then. And you can go down to 1,000. We'll see if we can get more out of this. A little better. So this is like a wet snow because it's changing the rain. You can say you flew through the snow in your first real lesson.
Nice.
Not really, just as exciting as doing stalls.
It's all exciting.
Yeah.
Awesome.
What's nice about where our seating is and the fact that we have a canopy is we can see the wing. So if there was like a contamination, like a buildup of ice or something, we'd be able to see it right away. But it's clean.
What do you do? I mean, you can't go up there and wipe it off.
No, so you just descend to a warmer altitude.
Yeah.
So we're already above freezing now. So we were at -1. Now with that short descent we just did brought us down to +1. So in theory, nothing should be able to stick anymore.
Yeah. Too cold to golf right now, but not for long.
Yeah, you golf?
Yeah.
Yeah. It's funny, like some of the mornings that I'm out here, it's still like 36, 37 degrees, and there's people out here on the driving range, because it's right there on the side of the runway.
Right.
And it's like, geez, I think it's too cold for that still. I guess if you're like standing out in the sun, it's not so bad, but
yeah,
it's still cold.
Yeah, but for the people who have the bug, a couple swings, that's enough for now.
Yeah. You can go make a left turn, go parallel to the runway now. So this right here is a downwind. We basically entered like on a 45-degree angle to the downwind, which is a standard pattern entry.
Okay.
But it's actually not required for a controlled airport. So right now we're downwind because the wind is behind us, pushing us. If we were going into the wind, it'd be an upwind. And he wanted us to report a right base, and the base is the 90-degree to the runway.
Okay.
So when you make a 90-degree right turn, when we start making our way towards the runway, that's the base. And then final is when you're lined up with the runway.
Downwind, base, and final. Got it.
Now, since winds are pretty light, I'm going to let you do the landing. And I'll guide you down, but should be pretty easy.
Okay.
And you're going to hold about 1,000 feet until you get to the 1.6. When you get to the 1.6, you're going to pull the power back to, you actually probably just bring it right back to idle once you hit it. And put a notch of flaps in. There you go, so back to idle. And notch of flaps. So as long as you're below 82 on your speed, you can use flaps. All right,
okay.
82 is the limit. You can't go above 82 with the flaps down, or it can cause structural damage. All right, so now drop the nose, because we want to descend for the runway. So you're going to drop the nose and hold about 70, and you can start a right turn, I'll call them. So just make a right 90. Enforcement Tower, RV6 Victor Alpha is turning right base 16.
RV6 Victor Alpha, check wheels down, runway 16, 113 at 4, clear to land, and land longs approved.
Clear to land, runway 16, and long landing approved, RV6 Victor Alpha. All right, so we're cleared for the long landing, which means we can use like all of the runway so we can get down to Bravo. That way we don't have such a long taxi, so you can turn in now. I got the lights on for us now.
So those are always on? He turns those on?
Yeah. They're on usually from sunset to sunrise. But if it's quiet and they feel like saving electricity, they can turn it down to like its lowest setting, which might as well be off.
Okay.
All right, so you're just kind of gliding in at this point. When the wheels touch the ground, you're going to be using rudder. You're not going to use any brakes. All right, so you don't want to touch down with brakes. You want to make sure you're off the brakes until you get to a slower speed. All right, so just kind of keep it level, just kind of shoot, just glide in as you're doing. We're going to eat up a bunch of runway because we're turning off on Bravo. And we're a little bit right of the line, so it's kind of, yep, just shift it over to the left, and then it usually do very quick movements, very like, almost like jabby movements. All right, and then as it's coming down, it's just like going into a stall. So just kind of ease it back. If it starts to go up, just hold it. Now pull it back more, hold it. Pull it back more. Good. Now just hold the nose light so it doesn't slam down. Good. That's it.
Wow. That's cool.
When there's no wind, it's easy. That's why I let you do it, because there's no wind. It's basically what we just did in the air. But it's very difficult to get to the point where it's like, okay, when do I start pulling back? How much do I pull back? When do I stop pulling back? You know, and doing those calculations in your head really quickly.
Yeah.
That's where it becomes difficult. And because there's no wind, it was very straightforward.
Awesome. So I can pretty much let go of the stick at this point?
Yeah, actually, if you hold the nose back, it actually helps with steering a little bit.
Oh, okay.
But you don't want to pop a wheelie like that.
Okay.
All right, you can pull the throttle all the way back to idle, give it some brake, we're making this left turn. Just follow the yellow line.
The brake, right? Yeah.
You should be able to use just the rudder. You shouldn't need brake just yet. So you're still going about 20. There you go. And then you're going to come to a stop once you get on the dashes. You're going to run through your after landing checklist. And the before landing checklist is really just flaps and landing light, which I already had the landing light on, so
okay.
We didn't run through that. After landing here.
So, retract.
Button in. There you go. And I'll call them up. And tower 60 drop us clear on Bravo.
Hey, 612, taxi in Alpha November this frequency. Have a good night.
Alpha November this frequency. Have a great night. 60 for Alpha. All right. And landing light you can turn off. That's the middle. Yep. All right. So taxi you back. That's fun.
Yeah, that was awesome.
It was nice and smooth.
I did not think I was going to land a plane today.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
That's why I love this airplane. It's just so easy. Like, it's an easy airplane to fly. Whereas if you fly like a 172, it's easy compared to other airplanes, but it's not as easy as this. Like, when I was teaching in Cessna 150s and 172s, I usually didn't let them even consider landing until like 5 hours in.
Oh, wow.
Just because the airplane handles differently. It's not as predictable on landing. This airplane, like, I could literally let someone on an intro flight land it, you know?
That's cool. Yeah, you want us to get to 20 knots here, right? Something like that.
You don't have to. It's
So
just that's just the point when you can use rudder and not brakes. But you don't have to. But if you go like full rudder, you'll have your steering.
Got it.
That's usually about 15 knots. And the taxiway is slightly sloped left, so you'll find yourself needing mostly right rudder.
Yeah.
Because it just wants to go that way. So we're making this left turn on November.
Just rudder again, you think?
Yep. Yeah, so just kick it full left. You don't have to follow the line. I mean, technically you should, but we don't want to use the brake, so we're not going to. And now I'll start adding in right rudder to pick up the line again. All right, and then just keep the throttle all the way back to idle, and we'll slowly start to decelerate. All right, now start giving it brake evenly. And just keep slowing it down. You're going to be making the right turn towards the hangar. So again, go right rudder, right brake. And I see you put the tow bar outside. So go to the right of the tow bar. The tow bar is right there in the middle of the ramp.
Yeah.
So kind of we're going to go around it and then go hard left. Just stay to the right side of that. All right, now hold the left brake all the way down and give it throttle. All right, stop the throttle, and right there's good.
Sweet.
All right, now you can run through your shutdown checklist.
Throttle's idle. ELT?
ELT would be a flashing red light here, so that's
Okay.
not on, so that's good, means we didn't crash.
That's good. What is that acronym for?
Emergency locator transmitter.
Okay. A and B are off.
Yep, so do one at a time. There you go.
Engine speed. Oil pressure.
Hobbs.
So we marked the time, so we did 1.3. Because we left at 6:39.0.
Where's your clock? Oh, got it. Okay.